In this video, I'm going to show you how to do 1 year worth of language learning in 1 month or even less. Pay attention because every one of the exercises I explain here are going to be very important. Also, you're going to have to work pretty hard for this, right? This is not the lazy way. This is not effortlessly learn the language with comprehensible inputs, although there'll be comprehensible input, but none of that effortless, lazy way thing. Now, if you're lazy and if you want to avoid hard work, you should tune out right now, right? I only want people who are hardworking. So, what you need is a list of sentences and audio. In fact, two lists of sentences, two different lists of sentences. You need your language islands, and if you don't know what those are, you should watch my videos on those. But basically, they are a list of sentences that you've prepared, your own sentences for every conversation, interaction, situation you think you'll have, that you want to have, translated into the language. It should be around 1,000 sentences, a couple of thousand if you are more talkative. And then you need another list, much longer, with all the vocabulary and all the grammar that you need in the language. Like this one, which is tens of thousands of sentences here. Basically, everything you need to know. 99.99% of the vocabulary and all the grammar. And you learn both. The language islands are for speaking, because if you learn those 1,000 useful, relevant sentences really well, and you don't need that much time to learn those, you'll be able to have good conversations. And if you then learn this, you'll be able to understand the language. So, how do we start? Let's say you don't know any vocab. The first thing you need is a lot of vocab. So, this is why we've got a vocabulary list. These are all the words that show up in this on this sentence list, ordered from most frequent to least frequent. And you'll notice that most frequent ones appear thousands of times, but frequency very quickly drops, and suddenly we get words that show up less than 10 times. After 1,000 words, only 20 times. You see? This is why learning the most common 100 words and that kind of stuff that all those like, self improvement gurus say that it doesn't work, because the most common words are grammar words. They're not nouns, they're not verbs, they're not grammar words meaning this kind of stuff. Like if, at, for, is, will. You can't speak a language knowing only those. You need, station and airport and dinner and that kind of vocab. You need to learn all that vocab. But it's useful to start with the most common ones, because they'll allow you to understand a lot of the text to then continue learning the rest of the vocab, right? So we got two lists. We got this one, so we can learn the most common 500 to 1,000 fast, and then this other one, which is going to be more useful long term, which is the same list but ordered alphabetically. And what this means is that we can learn all the words in word families. Yeah, because you get words next to other words that are related, which makes everything much easier to learn. So the only thing we need is to apply mnemonic associations, to create mnemonic associations. By the way, it's going to be very hard to do mnemonic associations for this kind of words because they're not easy to visualize. So I recommend you just review it and not try to associate them, because it's going to be time consuming and very difficult. So you start directly learning this after that. Yeah, this you should just learn it by heart, maybe flashcards, but uh, unfortunately, unless you're really good and really really creative, you can still, like, you can visualize this as a can. Uh, Może this you can visualize like Musk or whatever. Like, you can mog. Uh, meg, megalodon. I don't know. You can create them, but it's again you have to be very creative. While here, a lot of them you'll just realize that abonnement is subscription. Okay, now I know all of this. You just review them. Okay, tomorrow I remember them. Uh, you have to create like okay a various accident. So bar in which there's been an accident, for example. You create these kind of associations and visualize them. And for long ones, I mean, afterwards, you don't need to visualize it. It's easy, right? Cognates, more cognates, automated, more cognates. You realize there's lots and lots of cognates. And you just review it and you associate the first one of the word family. Like again, no need. Adam, resource, adaptira, see, cognates, more cognates, advocat, what's that? So that's how you go. This is the best way to learn vocab. Just visualize the first one, and then the others you just review them, and you review the list over and over, and you learn them. Not just by doing this, you forget a lot of it if you just do this, but this will help you remember them long enough so that then you do, if you do it, a lot of listening. This is where comprehensible input comes in handy. If you start listening to the language and you know nothing, you know zero vocab, you're going to need massive, insane amounts of listening or reading to learn vocab, and it's a waste of time. So your listening and your reading should be focused on your language islands, which are high impact sentences, because 1,000 lines you can listen to them in 1 hour, and with 20 hours of listening, you know most of those lines, and you can use them in conversation, and they are your own lines. So focus on listening to those, and then for the rest of it, you could either listen to the whole list or you could listen directly to native speaker podcasts, and you won't understand much in the beginning, but after learning thousands of words this way, which is not that difficult because again we just see the hundred and I mean I'm not focusing right now, but I understand almost everything here after like you look at the first one. Also a lot of these are cognized, but you get the idea. You Yeah, a lot of these are cognized. I mean if you can't read Twitter, like you don't understand, but you get the idea. The cognates are words that are the same. Like uh like anesthesia is anesthesia. Okay. Well, they're similar enough, like antenata, antibiotici, antibiotics, antivirus. A lot of this, like you see them once, but you see this appears only once in the whole text. So to learn this through input, you and you don't need to know this well, right? But um, that's my point. There are many, many thousands of words that you need many, many, many thousands of hours of listening or reading to learn them in context because you need to see them in context many times. If you do this, just review the list. I don't know it. I check. Don't know it. I check, and you visualize and associate the first word of family. And this way, you can go through the whole list once or twice in a week. And there are like 25,000 words here. But yeah, you can do several thousand a day. Again, this is a lot of hard work. But you do this, memorizing this with associations and in groups, and lots of listening, and you'll hear them in context enough that you very quickly start to understand what you're listening to. And this is how you learn fast. Again, if you want to improve your speaking, you will have to shadow your language islands as well. But when it comes to vocab, this is the best way. Just do this a lot, lots of listening, lots of uh, associating, memorizing vocab in groups, and keep doing it until you understand everything. For speaking, the same thing. Do exactly the same thing with your language islands, which are easier to learn because there's much less content to learn, and also they your own sentences and they're relevant, so you learn them fast. And then just repeat them aloud over and over and over again until you know them. And maybe if you want, if you're really motivated, do active recall as well. But if you do enough repetition of just listening and repeating, shadowing them, you learn them fast. Like you'll be able to just say them, and that's it. That's how you learn 1 year worth of. How do you do 1 year of worth of language learning in 1 month? It's very doable, really.